As soon as the rapist arrived in prison, the prison boss stripped 2 inmates of their clothes. He then forced the rapist to reenact how he assaulted and murdered the girl. The rapist cursed the gang leader, calling him a pervert. To his surprise, the prison boss said that if he refused to perform, the other inmates would demonstrate on him instead. A group of men pinned him down. Meanwhile, the rapist's mother was holding a sign and pleading for justice in front of the government building. Her son, Kwon Yoo, had been wrongly accused. That day, Kwon Yoo found a girl's phone in an internet cafe. The phone's owner called, promising him a reward of 3 million yuan if he returned the phone. Kwon Yoo, who didn't even have enough money to stay online, rushed to deliver the phone upon hearing about the 3 million. However, Kwon Yoo didn't know that this phone would not only lead to his mother's death but also cause him to be labeled as a rapist and murderer. He arrived at a villa as per the address. Kwon Yoo knocked on the door, and seeing no response, he went inside. He saw someone showering in the bathroom and called out that he had brought the phone. The woman in the shower said the money was on the bed in the bedroom and told him to take it himself. Kwon Yoo went to the bedroom and took the money. Before leaving, he glanced around and advised the woman to lock her doors in the future to avoid danger. With that, Kwon Yoo left. The next morning, while he was sleeping on the couch, his front door burst open. A group of police officers rushed in and pinned him to the ground.
권유 당신의 하디스에 대한 미성년자 강간 살인 혐의로 체포합니다. 묵비권 행사할 수 있고.
Kwon Yoo was bewildered but noticed a bloody knife in his house. That's how he was taken to the police station. The national media began reporting that Kwon Yoo had raped and murdered a girl. The police found many of Kwon Yoo's fingerprints on the victim and discovered the murder weapon in his house, covered in his fingerprints. Moreover, the police investigation revealed that he had been to the victim's house the previous night. More bizarre details emerged, which a police officer narrated.
현장에서 발견된 휴지에서 네 정액이 나왔다는 소견서다.
Now, with irrefutable evidence, only Kwon Yoo knew he was innocent. Under public pressure, he was quickly taken to court. Kwon Yoo's mother hired a lawyer for him. The lawyer, Min Cheon-sang, did not defend Kwon Yoo. Instead, he urged the judge to sentence Kwon Yoo to life imprisonment and have him incarcerated in South Korea's highest security prison, reserved for the most heinous criminals. As soon as he entered the prison, the boss there, Ma Deok-soo, started giving him trouble because being a rapist is a despised crime in any prison. The criminal Ma Deok-soo glanced at the prison guard, who tactfully walked away. He ordered Kwon Yoo to kneel on the ground. Just as Ma Deok-soo was about to teach him a lesson, Kwon Yoo acted first, headbutting Ma Deok-soo to the ground. Being the boss for so many years, Ma Deok-soo had never suffered such a humiliation, and it made him furious. He intended to kill Kwon Yoo, but the warden appeared just in time to stop him. Kwon Yoo thought the warden might help him, but instead, the warden knocked him out with a baton. From then on, Kwon Yoo endured endless humiliation in prison, facing constant torment every day. He finally couldn't take it anymore and attempted suicide, but was stopped by the guards who arrived just in time. One day, his mother came to visit him. She told Kwon Yoo that she had found a witness. Seeing the bruises on him, she urged him to hold on and promised she would clear his name. Min Cheon-sang stood behind her. As he was Kwon Yoo's lawyer, his mother's visit rekindled Kwon Yoo's hope to live on. He was determined to prove his innocence. Even though he continued to be beaten every day, he protected his vital areas during the assaults. In solitary confinement, Kwon Yoo trained to regain his peak condition because he was a taekwondo athlete before. That day, Kwon Yoo deliberately provoked Ma Deok-soo. After catching Kwon Yoo's challenging look, Ma Deok-soo immediately confronted him, but Kwon Yoo had already prepared. He had crafted steel nails into darts and made a slingshot with a rubber band. As Ma Deok-soo's henchmen rushed toward him, Kwon Yoo took them down with the darts. However, Ma Deok-soo was waiting for him with a wrench in hand. He didn't expect Kwon Yoo to have more darts, and Ma Deok-soo's arm was pierced by one. Kwon Yoo then knocked him out with a flying kick. Suddenly, the warden arrived and announced that someone was there to see Kwon Yoo. It turned out to be Min Cheon-sang. Kwon Yoo was puzzled as to why his mother hadn't come. At that moment, the warden handed over a document, a death certificate. Min Cheon-sang revealed that Kwon Yoo's mother had committed suicide. Kwon Yoo was in disbelief. During her last visit, his mother had encouraged him to stay strong and not give up. Why would she commit suicide? During yard time that day, Ma Deok-soo planned to kill Kwon Yoo. However, Kwon Yoo was ready and slashed Ma Deok-soo's face. The warden aimed a gun at Kwon Yoo, ordering him to drop the knife. Unexpectedly, Kwon Yoo stabbed himself in the stomach. This was all part of his plan. Kwon Yoo needed to escape. It was the only way to clear his name. He knew his mother couldn't have killed herself and he had to find the real culprit to avenge her. The warden took both Kwon Yoo and Ma Deok-soo to the hospital. On the way, Kwon Yoo regained consciousness and knocked out the guard. In the chaos, the driver accidentally flipped the vehicle. Kwon Yoo crawled out, and just as he was about to escape, the warden aimed his gun at him from behind. Kwon Yoo turned around, but to his surprise, the warden lowered the gun, seemingly believing Kwon Yoo was innocent. News of his prison escape quickly spread. The entire country launched a manhunt, with checkpoints set up at every intersection, and police conducting a thorough search of the mountains. While on the run, Kwon Yoo encountered an African couple whose car had broken down. After Kwon Yoo helped them fix the car, the couple gave him a ride. When they approached a police checkpoint on a bridge, Kwon Yoo quickly ducked down. The African couple noticed this and, when questioned by the police, insisted they needed to catch a flight. Deliberately speaking in very broken Korean, the police had no choice but to let them go. Before long, they arrived at the airport. The couple, heading on vacation, gave their car to Kwon Yoo. That evening, Min Cheon-sang returned to his law office, only to be startled by the sight of Kwon Yoo. Kwon Yoo had nowhere else to turn. As Min Cheon-sang was his lawyer, he needed to find out how his mother had really died. Min Cheon-sang handed over his mother's belongings to Kwon Yoo. Suddenly, the sound of police sirens blared outside. Min Cheon-sang confessed he had already called the police and urged Kwon Yoo to surrender. Kwon Yoo quickly fled. He then went to an internet cafe to research his case. Unexpectedly, a video popped up on the computer screen, detailing the entire incident. The video highlighted several inconsistencies, suggesting that Kwon Yoo was not the murderer. The video pointed out that when Kwon Yoo delivered the phone, he was only in the girl's house for 2 minutes. In those 2 minutes, it would have been impossible to assault the girl 5 times, kill her, and then move her to the bathroom to destroy evidence. As the video played, a familiar voice suddenly echoed through Kwon Yoo's headphones. The voice he heard was from his teammate in the game he often played. The teammate's online alias was Yeowol. Yeowol instructed him to meet at a cafe. When Kwon Yoo arrived at the cafe, he was surprised to find that his teammate Yeowol was actually a young girl. Her gruff voice in the game was due to a voice changer. Afterward, Yeowol took him to her place. It was in the countryside, and Kwon Yoo soon learned that Yeowol was also a hacker. The room was filled with various servers. Yeowol cooked a lot of delicious food, and Kwon Yoo, who hadn't had a proper meal in a long time, started crying as he ate. Yeowol told him not to cry because the other teammates would be arriving soon. As soon as she finished speaking, 3 men showed up outside. Kwon Yoo was frightened because he had never met any of his teammates in person. These people had been his gaming teammates for years. With him as their leader, one of them went by the alias Demolition. In the game, he was responsible for providing cover. In real life, he specialized in high-tech research. Another man was called Mr. Harry. He was a sniper in the game and worked in film production as an explosives expert in reality. The older man, known as Cool Guy, played as a shotgun specialist in the game and was a professor of architecture in real life. They had been playing games together with Kwon Yoo for many years. The other 2 teammates weren't present because their jobs were a bit different. These friends knew Kwon Yoo was innocent, so they came specifically to help him. After they finished eating, Yeowol told them that cases like Kwon Yoo's, where someone was wrongly imprisoned, were not uncommon. There had been many others like Kwon Yoo who were unjustly accused of murder and imprisoned for life. These cases shared a common feature: all the evidence was complete, and the accused were apprehended within 24 hours. Yeowol pulled away the tablecloth to reveal that the table was made of several screens. Yeowol had already been investigating Kwon Yoo's case. She had reviewed surveillance footage from all the suspicious cases and found that a truck appeared at every crime scene. Through her technical skills, Yeowol located the truck. Kwon Yoo and Mr. Harry went to a junkyard where the truck was parked. Suddenly, several men in suits arrived and drove away in an SUV. Kwon Yoo decided to follow them and asked Mr. Harry to monitor the truck. Kwon Yoo trailed them to a villa and peeked through a gap in the door, witnessing an unbelievable scene. The villa was a crime scene, and the men he followed were cleaning it meticulously and putting the body into a box to take away. Kwon Yoo continued to follow them to a hotel. He had Yeowol hack into the hotel system and then entered a room where the men had placed the body. Suddenly, more people arrived, and Kwon Yoo quickly hid. These individuals were highly professional. They placed the body into a container and filled it with a transparent liquid. They then scattered hair and fibers around the room and used fingerprint gloves to spread fingerprints throughout the space. After completing their work, they left. Kwon Yoo emerged and looked at the scene, realizing how he had been framed. What Kwon Yoo didn't know was that Min Cheon-sang was watching him remotely through a camera in the television. It turned out that Min Cheon-sang was the mastermind behind everything. If someone committed murder, they could turn to Min Cheon-sang, and he would handle everything, perfectly framing someone else for the crime. This is how Kwon Yoo was set up. In this case, the victim was killed by the congressman's daughter, and the congressman asked Min Cheon-sang to take care of it for his daughter. Min Cheon-sang sent his men to find a friend of the victim, drugged her, took some of her hair, and transferred her fingerprints onto a glove. Everything Kwon Yoo had witnessed earlier was part of the setup to frame this woman. Seeing Kwon Yoo in that room, Min Cheon-sang made a call to have Ma Deok-soo released from prison, ordering him to take care of Kwon Yoo. That evening, Min Cheon-sang received a call from his men reporting that the crime scene had been disturbed. When Min Cheon-sang arrived at the scene, he saw the room was in disarray because of Kwon Yoo. Instead of being angry, Min Cheon-sang felt exhilarated. As he hadn't faced a worthy opponent in a long time, he ordered his men to set up a new crime scene. Meanwhile, in the countryside, Kwon Yoo and his team had modified the car. They had replaced the original 1.0 engine with a 3.0T supercharged engine. Kwon Yoo was ready to teach Min Cheon-sang a lesson, as he now knew that Min Cheon-sang was the one who framed him. Min Cheon-sang had planted a tracker in the necklace that belonged to Kwon Yoo's mother. After Yeowol hacked into Min Cheon-sang's office computer, they discovered that Min Cheon-sang was the mastermind behind it all. They even assembled a drone. Meanwhile, Min Cheon-sang's men were preparing to set up the crime scene. Suddenly, a C4 explosive was thrown onto their windshield, causing them to panic and jump out of the car just before it exploded into pieces. Min Cheon-sang was unaware of these events at the time. Thinking his men had successfully set up the scene, he turned on the TV and mentioned that the news should be reporting it soon. Indeed, the TV was broadcasting the news. Many reporters gathered at a hotel to report on a male celebrity found dead in a glass container. The reporters stormed into a room and found a woman there, the congressman's daughter. Who was the actual killer? The woman only realized what was happening when she saw the body and understood that it was the work of Kwon Yoo and his team. They knew Min Cheon-sang was going to frame someone for the woman, so they intercepted his men and secretly brought her to the scene. Min Cheon-sang watched the news, realizing he had been outplayed. The congressman called and scolded Min Cheon-sang, questioning how he handled the situation. Min Cheon-sang hung up on him, but another call came. It was Kwon Yoo. Knowing it was Kwon Yoo, Min Cheon-sang was thrilled, praising his actions and expressing excitement at finally having a worthy opponent to play with. Suddenly, Min Cheon-sang noticed his assistant slumped over on the desk. He quickly ran towards his secret room, but as the door opened, Kwon Yoo charged in and beat him up. The secret room was a massive screen, and the entire room was a giant server capable of hacking into national cameras. Kwon Yoo found numerous videos there, including footage showing how he was framed. It turned out that Min Cheon-sang had been monitoring him, capturing his men collecting Kwon Yoo's hair and used tissues from the trash. These videos could fully exonerate him. He plugged a card reader into the server to copy all the data. Suddenly, Min Cheon-sang revealed that he was also responsible for Kwon Yoo's mother's death, which infuriated Kwon Yoo. However, Min Cheon-sang told him to answer a call. It was Ma Deok-soo, who had kidnapped Kwon Yoo's teammates. Min Cheon-sang presented him with a choice: either copy the data to clear his name or save his teammates. Copying the data would take at least 30 minutes, and if he didn't arrive within 15 minutes, all his teammates would be gone. Ultimately, Kwon Yoo chose to save his teammates. At that moment, Ma Deok-soo was preparing to kill Kwon Yoo's teammates. Min Cheon-sang had ordered him to execute them while waiting for Kwon Yoo to arrive. Ma Deok-soo was about to shoot them all when suddenly the lights went out in the room. It was Kwon Yoo. He had cut the power. Under the cover of darkness, Kwon Yoo rescued all his teammates. Ma Deok-soo and his men gave chase, and Min Cheon-sang had called the police, sending hundreds of patrol cars after Kwon Yoo since he was considered a dangerous fugitive. Kwon Yoo led his teammates to the TV station. He told them to get out while he drove the car to distract Ma Deok-soo and the police. His teammates set up numerous obstacles in the TV station building. They applied tactics from their games in real life, using them to take down Ma Deok-soo's men. Meanwhile, Yeowol reached the control room, ready to expose Min Cheon-sang's crimes through the TV broadcast. But suddenly, Ma Deok-soo burst in and grabbed Yeowol. Armed police also stormed the building, capturing the other teammates. Kwon Yoo drove after Ma Deok-soo, using his superior driving skills to rescue Yeowol from Ma Deok-soo's car and then brought him back to the TV station. At this point, The entire nation's media focused on the TV station building. Kwon Yoo led the police cars to the crowd of reporters and then willingly surrendered, while his teammates were being arrested. One person was missing. Cool Guy. Cool Guy had found the other two teammates, who had not yet appeared. The two were emotion streamers. Meanwhile, Min Cheon-sang was still in his secret room, watching Kwon Yoo's arrest through surveillance. Suddenly, he noticed something was wrong. When Kwon Yoo left, he had injected a virus into the server, and all the files had been taken. The other two teammates and Yeol worked together to broadcast those videos nationwide. The videos showed everything from Min Cheon-sang receiving orders from wealthy clients to framing innocent people as scapegoats. The videos instantly went viral on major platforms across the country. Watching the videos, Min Cheon-sang realized he was finished. He tried to escape, but when he reached his car, he found the steering wheel had been removed, and the police arrived to arrest him. Eventually, Kwon Yoo was exonerated, while Min Cheon-sang was sent to the same prison where Ma Deok-soo was also incarcerated. Ma Deok-soo was still the boss there. Min Cheon-sang thought his life would be manageable, but Ma Deok-soo's sentence had been extended by hundreds of years because of his capture. Meanwhile, the African couple returned from their vacation at the airport. They saw the car they had given to Kwon Yoo and noticed it was quite different from before. The movie ends here. See you next time.